This is one of the most curious animals in the world, and while it may not be as big or fierce as some other wild animals, its intelligence and adaptability make it one of the most formidable survivors out there. Welcome back to Animal Logic. Today, we'll be answering the question, why are foxes so clever? In order to survive in a world full of threats and limited resources, animals must use their noggins to stay alive. In some cases, this means having a really good memory. Take our gray squirrel friends. For example, squirrels have excellent spatial memories. They can remember where they've buried their nuts, so that they can find them later. Without this ability, they wouldn't survive the winter. Then there's the black rat, a species famous for its intelligence and adaptability. In a study done by the Max Planck Institute for Ornithology, researchers found that black rats are capable of solving mazes just as quickly as cats. And cats are supposedly 9 lives. The researchers also reported that these rodents possess advanced problem-solving abilities. They concluded that black rats are among the smartest animals in the world. But no creature is more renowned for its smarts than the fox. There are 23 different species of fox found across the globe, each uniquely suited to its environment. But what makes them so smart? To answer that question, scientists did something crazy. They subjected foxes to an intelligence test. Specifically, they tested their ability to use tools. First, the foxes were presented with a box containing food. All of the foxes were able to open the box and eat the food. Next, the scientists increased the difficulty of the task. They placed a piece of meat at the end of a tube and dangled a tasty morsel in front of the foxes to entice them to look inside. This time, none of the foxes were able to obtain the meat. The scientists then introduced a wooden block into the equation. They placed the meat at the end of the tube and then put the block in front of the opening. Some of the foxes were able to figure out that they could use the block to retrieve the meat, but only after a lot of trial and error. But the cleverest of the bunch figured out how to use the block without even tasting the bait. They realized that if they pushed the block into the tube, the meat would come out. Of the 19 foxes tested, only 2 were capable of figuring this out. But here's the kicker. Both of these foxes were female. Now, before you launch into a tirade about how females are smarter than males, let me stop you right there. This was only true for these particular foxes in this particular experiment. It doesn't mean anything at all about gender superiority. Anyway, scientists weren't sure whether this behavior was innate or learned, so they tried again with a new batch of foxes. This time, they taught the foxes how to retrieve the meat using the block. Once the foxes learned the trick, they were allowed to rest between trials. In the next trial, the scientists removed the block from in front of the tube. At first, the foxes didn't know what to do. They'd pushed the block away as if to say, "Hey, move your block thing." But eventually, they figured it out. When the block was removed, they knew to push the meat back into the tube to retrieve it. They were basically using a tool. But wait, there's more. After a month of training, the foxes were still able to retrieve the meat using a block, even if they had practiced in a while. This shows that they had developed a real understanding of how the puzzle worked. So, what does this all mean? Well, it means that foxes are indeed very clever creatures. They're highly adaptable and are capable of learning complex tasks. But it also means that female foxes might make better problem solvers than male foxes. Now, this isn't universal, like I said before, but it could be a useful trait in certain situations. For example, in a world where food is scarce, a female fox might be more likely to outsmart a male fox in order to get her paws on some grub. This could explain why female foxes are more successful hunters than males. According to a study conducted by the University of Alberta, female foxes are more likely to catch their prey than males. They also have more success when it comes to stealing other animals' food. So there you have it. The next time you see a fox, remember that it's not just a cute, bushy-tailed creature that looks like it belongs in The Wizard of Oz. It's a highly intelligent being with a brain as sharp as its claws. Speaking of brains, if you want to learn more about the animal kingdom, you should check out our other videos. We explore the weird and wonderful world of animals and bring you the most fascinating facts we can find. So hit that subscribe button and join us on our quest to understand the animal kingdom. And as always, thank you for watching!